Somebody tried to poison Lex Luthor, but they got the human target instead, and that somebody could be Batman. Okay, probably not, but Christopher Chance has 12 days to figure out who before he expires. Our protagonist lays on his bed, leaving behind a note saying, "I love you too." To find out exactly what happened, we're going to piss off the Flash by traveling 2 weeks back. The coffee's a little off, and Lex Luthor's the only man evil enough to schedule an event at 6 in the morning. He's assassinated on stage, but he gets right back up to serve up a nasty left hook. Next time, maybe try aiming for that bald head of his. Christopher Chance, also known as the Human Target, makes a living taking bullets for others. He starts coughing uncontrollably, and the next thing he knows, he crashes into a tree. And the next thing after that, Dr. Midnight is violating his body. Somebody tried to poison Lex Luthor, but they poisoned him instead, and he's got just enough time for a 12-issue limited series to figure out who. Midnight traces the poison to the Justice League International. So, which one of our heroes is secretly a supervillain? Christopher lives rent-free in Luigi's pizza shop, and Ice from the JLI is here to see him. He theorizes Dr. Midnight rang up the sweetest, most innocent member of the JLI asking for a second opinion, and she told him to keep it under wraps, making no mention of her best friend Fire, someone with a motive to kill Lex Luthor. You see, when Overmaster attacked years ago, he turned Ice against her friends until she ultimately turned back on him and died. A week ago, Guy Gardner discovered Lex Luthor had used Overmaster to kill his now resurrected ex, and he had a whole revenge scheme plotted out. If anything, Guy's the guy he should be looking for, except it's all a lie. The Human Target conveniently forgot to mention he impersonated Dr. Midnight on the phone, and that Guy had already confronted Lex Luthor. The Human Target usually doesn't start his day to another man, and his first reaction is to shoot him. That probably wasn't the smartest idea. He wakes up to friendlier faces this time, yet Guy is still clinging on to him like a jealous ex for spending the day with his girl. Guy calls his insurance while they head to the grand opening of Booster's Bagels. He confesses his empty-headed peanut brain probably broke the time stream gathering all his ingredients. When asked about the water, he refuses to disclose trade secrets to anyone but a silent partner. Surely it couldn't be Fire. Bullcut kicks down his door like a supervillain later that night, ready to tear him a new one. That's when hall monitor Hal Jordan intervenes to confiscate his ring. Actually, it's just Luigi in disguise. The Human Target introduces COVID to Cord Industries. Running a multi-billion-dollar corporation while being a superhero means they're taking this on the road. He goes on about how easy it would be to end Lex Luthor using his vast wealth of resources, how his alibi could be faked, and that any suspect would also say they're innocent. All he's trying to say is he didn't kill Lex Luthor. Trust me, bro. They're getting rather cozy in the backseat, and still, he can't help but feel it's all an act. Ted finally reveals he denied Booster a loan. Nonetheless, he still got the money when Martian Manhunter showed up asking for the same amount. Finally, Ice is looking to get some late-night exercise. The entirety of Chapter 5 unfolds in the split second it takes to pass the salt over to John. He once trained with a powerful telepath named Emra from Titan to deploy mental blocks for when someone invades his mind. She also taught him to take the bullet, letting all his memories flood in to overwhelm the invader while leaving the attacker to be read like a book. Moreover, this can all be done before the salt changes hands. While John sees Chance's father fearing, begging for his life at gunpoint, he discovers the Martian is having an affair with Fire. Turns out she's the one who asked him to get the money. Fire isn't as innocent as Ice makes her out to be, so why is she protecting her best friend? Ice walks out on him when he starts pointing fingers at Fire. Just then, Dr. Midnight has an update on the bagel. Booster's water is an exact match for the poison. Find the water, find the killer. They're so madly in love they couldn't stay mad at each other for more than a few pages even if they tried. Guy then shows up at the door like a final boss with enough rage inside of him to fuel the entire Red Lantern Corps. The human target distracts him for a fraction of a second, just enough to freeze him over completely. Then he puts on a supervillain starter pack of his own. They get right back into it, patch up his wounds, and as far as they're concerned, nobody knows Guy was ever here. Waiting for him back home is none other than Fire herself. One minute they're dancing in a club, and the next they're stuck atop a Ferris wheel. It's a long way down, and he can't think of a better alternative. All this was just to get a confession out of her, and she starts berating him. Oh, and she's been trying to seduce him all night long. Having passed her test, Fire invites them over the next morning. She admits to asking John for the money to get the water from Booster, but she didn't poison anyone. In fact, Guy's the guy who asked her to get the water in the first place. On day 8, they awaken to the sound of tranquilizer darts flying across the room. Like a true American, he grabs the shotgun he keeps under his bed, but Rocket Red is too fast. He's knocked out a few more times because he refuses to volunteer information regarding Guy Gardner's whereabouts. They were besties on the JLI, so it's understandable why he's upset that his BFF is missing. He awakens to ice this time, and apparently, Guy phoned in saying he's away on a mission. For wasting his entire day, the human target ruins a perfectly good bottle of vodka. Ice rushes him to the doctor when he doesn't wake up, but all he needed was a drink. Maybe he should have stayed dead, that way he wouldn't have to worry about him. Christopher finally unveils to her he's been poisoned, and he's only got 4 days left. Her reaction is a bit underwhelming to say the least. Convinced this guy is him, he walks over to rearrange his face. Except it's not him. They endure the heat conversing about what it's like to die, while she books an Airbnb in the middle of a desert. They may have faked Guy's voicemail, but he's bound to figure it out eventually. Batman is the world's greatest detective after all. The human target wakes up in the middle of the night, yet Batman is nowhere to be seen. Probably because Batman figured out Guy Gardner isn't deceased. The human target slips out to do some detective work. Nort isn't the brightest lantern, which makes him perfect for the job. They sneak onto Oa to flip through some records. Although updated to the minute, there's no mention of Gardner's demise anywhere. They're discovered by a guardian on the way out, but it's nothing a boot to the face can't fix. They track him down by tracking him down, and before things get out of hand, a peanut allergy puts him down. In exchange for an EpiPen, he wants to know exactly what happened. He then confronts the final boss who's been lying to him for 10 days straight. He got lucky because when he expires by nightfall, he won't miss her. He'll just be gone. When Guy presented his elaborate plot against Luthor, Fire tried to talk her out of it like a CW show. Fire couldn't live without her bestie, so at least don't get caught doing it. When all the pieces fell into place, imagine their surprise when they poisoned Christopher Chance instead of Lex. She stayed close to throw him off the investigation, and they would devise another scheme when he's gone. But she got too close. His whole life was him trying to prove he's not his father, and the final boss is giving him a chance to close out the case because she loves him. Sobbing at his bedside, all that remains is a note saying, "I love you too." A few days later, she picks up his ashes from Luigi's, and Fire comforts her the best she can. She blackmails John for leadership over the human target investigation because firstly, he failed to report an affair, and secondly, his empty-headed peanut brain violated the rules by invading his mind. A month later, Guy helps her to spread his ashes over the water. 2 months later, she reminisces about the 11th hour. Chance realized his father wasn't begging for his own life, but for another day with his son, just as he wanted another day with her. He then asked for a favor, wondering if she's got any more of that poison. Inside Lex's office, they toast to the human target. If you're still window shopping, what are you waiting for? Subscribe. Insert marvelous outro here, and I'll see you in the next one.